Okay, so I wasn't planning on doing a video today, but I was just reading an article on Facebook, and it kind of brought to my attention that maybe we need to address our children a little better and letting them know what's safe, what's not safe, how to react in certain situations. So I'm going to take this time to do a video on child safety and all around child safety. It may be a little longer than my normal videos, but I think it's worth it. I hope you take the time to watch it and pass on this information to your children. So in efforts to make it simple, what I'm going to do is touch on 4 subjects, and each subject I'll elaborate on. But what I want to touch on is awareness, encountering strangers, friends, and then home safety. So we're gonna put all that together, and hopefully that you leave and have something to share with your children, just to make sure that they're aware and safe on their day-to-day travels. Okay, so when it comes to awareness, the first thing that I wanted to bring up to is look up at your surroundings. As soon as you step out of the door, make sure that you're looking around, seeing who's there, seeing if anybody unusual is hanging around, watching, seeing what's going on. So always look up and take notice. That's the first thing you should always do. Look up and take notice. A lot of kids walk with their head down. A lot of kids are in their own world, and that's normal. That's kid stuff. But we want to let them know to stress, to look up and be aware. Take notice of what's going on around you. Notice strangers. Notice things that look out of place, faces you don't know. Remember those faces. If it's strange, if they're watching you, if they're just standing around at a playground or anything like that, take notice of that and make sure, even if you're just looking at what color clothes they have on, these are the little things that'll go a long way later on if there's an emergency situation. Take notice of any vehicles that are driving slow, checking out the scene, looking at them and their friends. Reoccurring vehicles, they've come around the block a few times. These are all things that you notice. If you see something like that, maybe try to take a look at the license plate. Get some numbers off of the license plate, if not the whole thing. Just make sure that you're aware of what's going on. Know the color of the vehicle. I think these type of things are small, but again, in an emergency situation, they go a very, very long way. And then next, your friends. Make sure that you know what they're into. Anything that's going down, be aware. Don't just be oblivious to what they're doing because they're your friends. Make sure that you know if they're involved in any activities that can come back to harm you. Those are very important things to do. A lot of times, you know, as young people, we tend to ignore the things that we see our friends doing that we know aren't right. And this is just something that, you know, we have to stress to our children. It's just not acceptable. If they're doing things that you don't want to be around, that you know you shouldn't be around, then just excuse yourself. Don't be around that type of situation because it's only going to come back to harm you. And then lastly, as far as awareness goes, be aware of your key visibility. If you're a child who's coming home and you have a key, don't just have it dangling on the outside of your shirt. Predators tend to watch for things like this. Watch for small signs to see who's going home alone. Keep it hidden until it's time to put it in that lock. Once you put it in the lock, then strangers don't know if you're going home to someone. So keep those tips in mind for just being aware. Being aware can be half of your battle, can be actually more than that. If you're aware of what's going on, you can avoid the situation before it takes place. And that is the key. Avoid it before it takes place. But if it does, know how to get yourself out of it and keep yourself safe in a situation. Next, I want to cover encountering a stranger. And this is kind of simple. You can narrow it down to shout, run, tell. Those 3 things will definitely keep you safe in face of a stranger. We're going to start with shout. Be specific in what you're shouting. If there's someone you don't know, yell it out. I don't know this person. This is not my mother. This is not my father. That way people are drawn to this situation. It's not just a child crying or screaming. They know exactly what's going on, and someone will step in and help. I can almost guarantee that if a child is in that kind of distress. I don't know if you just saw the article, which is one of the articles that I was just reading. A young lady was taking a little girl right at the crosswalk. The crossing guard heard the little girl yelling, "This is not my mother," and she jumped on the little girl, held her until someone came to help. The woman that was taking the little girl actually began to attack the crossing guard, but that crossing guard knew she could not let this little girl go with this woman, with her yelling, "This is not my mother." So yell out as loud as you can and be specific in what you're yelling. Relay that to your children. Yell out exactly what's going on so people around you can hear, so people around you can know and help. The next thing you want to do is run. If you get that opportunity to run, run. Get to a safe place, get to where there are other adults, get to where there's an authority figure, whether it be police, a fireman, just another adult that's looked like they're willing to help. Run as soon as you get that chance. Very important. And lastly, tell. Tell someone what happened. If you get away, if you see these things happening, if someone is following you, if someone is trying to confront you, always tell. A lot of times, whoever this person is, whoever the predator is telling our children, don't tell or else. But we have to reiterate to our children that you must tell, no matter the situation, that we are there to protect you. Make that known. Let them feel comfortable and safe in the fact that you are there to help them and that they're willing and open to tell you anything that's going on in their world. So shout, run, tell when it comes to encountering a stranger. Next, we should address their friends. All of our children have friends. We all hope they're hanging around the right people. Just stress to them that you have to know what your friends are into. A lot of times our children think, well, I'm not doing it, so it doesn't bother me. It's not going to affect me. But a lot of times what your friends are into will directly affect you if you're caught with them doing whatever it is they're doing. So we have to address that simple fact that, yes, if you are together, if this person is stealing, if this person is selling drugs, if this person is stealing cars, all of this type of thing can come back to you and end up as a record for you. And we definitely don't want that, especially if it's just guilty by association. So associate with the right people and you won't have to worry about being guilty by association. Next, always try to travel in packs. Stay together. If you can, travel in packs. It makes it harder for a predator, to pick one out of the group. You have other eyes to see exactly what's going on, who this person was, what kind of vehicle it is, and it's just safety in numbers. So this is one good thing. I mean, yes, you may have to break off, but if you have to break off and be on your own, then we have the whole other list of things to be aware, how to act in the situation of a stranger encountering a stranger. But if you can travel in packs, do so, because it does come in handy. And then lastly, when it comes to friends, and I think this is very important, especially with our teenagers, do not videotape everything that you are doing. We have to stress this to our children. Do not videotape everything that you're doing. Whether it's something that you know isn't right, whether it's something, whether you guys are just having fun, a lot of times this can come back to bite you in the future. Whether or not you're recording something that the police are going to end up looking at, whether or not you're recording something that a future job is looking at. Because we have to let them know that employers these days are looking at your social medias to see what type of person you are. So you cannot have these type of things on your social media, because it can come back to harm you. So just as a recap, do not videotape everything that you do, because it will most likely come back to haunt you in the future. And lastly, what we're going to go over is in-home safety. So the first thing that I've always found to be a positive is, as soon as your child gets home, have them give you a call, have them give you a text, just to let you know that they have made it in. That takes a lot of pressure off your mind. You're not wondering what's going on, and at least you know where they are at that particular time. So have them call or text once they get in. Then do not answer the door. Like, unless there's someone you're telling them will be there, don't answer the door. Don't give yourself that opportunity to become a victim. If there's nothing that they need to be dealing with, there's absolutely no reason to answer the door. No one needs to hear your voice. No one needs to know that you're home alone. Just stay away from the door until someone gets home that can help, or they can be responsible enough to answer the door and keep you safe. Discuss safety plans and what to do in the cases of an emergency. Maybe there's a neighbor. I always suggest have a good neighbor that they know they can go to in the case of emergency, if nothing else. If something is happening in the house, they can run out, they can go next door and be safe. Have them call the police or whatever the case may be. In the cases of a fire, they have somewhere safe to go and get out of the house. You don't understand how often a lot of children who don't have a neighbor or someone close by that they can go to will stay home, stay in a situation, and end up very in a worse situation than they would have been in had they been able to leave. So have a neighbor, have someone they can go to, even if they have to just run out with their cell phone, someone that they can call so they don't feel the need to stay put. Maybe there's a fire, maybe they have to leave. You don't want them to have that feeling that I have to stay put in the case of an emergency. So come up with some sort of plan, some sort of system that they know this is what I do if the situation calls for. And lastly, this one is directed straight to the parents for you. Pay very close attention to who your child is talking to online, whether it is social media, whether it is the video games. A lot of predators use online access to introduce themselves to your child, to get your children to do the things that they would not normally do. So be very vigilant in monitoring what's going on with your child online. Check phones, check the games, pop in when it's unexpected. Tell them to open up their phone randomly, just so you can be safe and know exactly who they're talking to, what the content is of what they're talking about. So I hope this didn't take much out of your day. Like I said, I didn't even plan on doing a video today, but I felt like this was a subject that needed to be touched on. I felt like this was some things that everybody can use, whether you already do some of it, whether you do all of it. Pass the video along. You never know who's going to need the help. And at the end of the day, it's about keeping our community safe. So thank you for listening in. Please like and share. Visit the website if you see anything that you think your children may be able to use. Again, like I mentioned, the body alarm, it's not a weapon. It just lets off a loud siren to draw attention to the situation, and may be something that will save your child's life. So thank you, and remember to let Catalyst lead the way.
Let Catalyst lead the way, 'cause you never know if today is the day.